tuve la oportunidad ya de ver el launch trailer. Así que, además de eso, en TikTok vi un videito de IGN de la diferencia que iba a tener lo que es Elden Ring en cuestión de que no fall damage, vas a poder subir por las paredes, no te mueres tan rápido, más fácil para subir de level. En fin, es un Elden Ring para noobs, novatos, aquellos como yo que la pasaron bien mal en Elden Ring y necesitaban algo un poquito más light. Yo creo que este sería el juego perfecto para nosotros, no voy a mentir. Vamos a ver esto. Yo no he terminado Elden Ring.
Before we begin, I just need to say that the footage in this video was provided by Bandai Namco, as no capture was permitted during the event. So unfortunately, some of the really cool things I talk about may not always be perfectly represented on screen. Now, on to the...
En palabras finas, no todos ellos lo pudieron saber. Ellos jugaron, lo probaron, van a hablar, pero el footage y las cosas que vamos a ver en pantalla son
preview.
Provistas por Bandai. Vamos a ver.
Elden Ring Nightreign is
Después que no me enseñen el demo
a
nada
battle
más, el
royale.
trailer.
Not that you ever thought it was, but as a former battle royale enjoyer, I can't help but compare the white knuckle moments I get when the storm closes in on me in those last gripping moments of a half-hour-long session of a Fortnite match to the nail-biting bits where I'm desperately trying to outrun the encroaching circle and make it to a life-saving site of grace in Nightreign. PvP elements are completely absent in
Ok.
Nightreign.
Tú me estás diciendo que esto es un Battle Royale. Espérate.
Is not a battle royale. Things I talk about may not always be perfectly represented
Déjame
on
escuchar
screen.
eso bien.
Now, on to the preview.
Tragedy must be averted. And for that, I need your help.
Elden Ring Nightreign is not a battle royale.
Okay.
Not that you ever thought it was, but as a former battle royale enjoyer, I can't help but compare the white knuckle moments I get when the storm closes in on me
¿Y esa
in those
tormenta?
last gripping moments of a half-hour-long
Explícanos.
session of
Ilumínanos.
a Fortnite match to the nail-biting
Ya lo-
bits
y
where
corre
I'm
más rápido, me
desperately
gusta.
trying to outrun
Me
the
gusta.
encroaching circle and make
Diablo,
it to
qué
a
nice se-
life-saving
Diablo,
site
qué
of
lindo
grace
se
in
ve.
Nightreign. PvP elements are completely absent in Nightreign, though
Nice.
not missed one bit. Still, you'll drop into a map with a squad, start from nothing, and spend your time ransacking the map to hopefully power yourself up for the
Nice.
final battle.
Nice.
From the risk-reward moments of looting a church for one more flask charge as the circle closes in, to the wave of sadness you feel when experiencing a devastating loss after taking so much time building yourself up, it's hard not to see the Battle Royale influences. But after 4 hours of playing the upcoming stress test build, I'm ecstatic to report that Nightreign probably won't tarnish the Elden Ring name.
No me diga, esto no es para nubes, aunque yo piense que sí. Esto dicen que no es un Battle Royale, pero parece un Battle Royale. Cada día cierra y voces finales y corre y rochea. ¿Por qué ustedes me hacen esto? Tendré que seguir viendo gameplays, nada más para disfrutar. Vamos a ver, se ve. Ya el mago se ve exagerado.
The current options will be the all-arounder Wilder, the speedy glass cannon Duchess, the tanky Guardian, and the magic-wielding Recluse. Each class has its own strengths and weaknesses, of course, but in my time with this build, I found that the most fun class to play was the Duchess, thanks to her powerful abilities and swift and nimble dodges.
Y hay que ir por obligación.
I also spent some time with the Recluse, which was incredibly powerful, but I ran out of FP quite often, and with no FP flasks, they aren't in this Elden Ring, she'll definitely be one of the harder classes to play effectively. Each class comes equipped with a leveling path, which I'll talk about more in a moment, but more importantly, they all have unique skill and ultimate abilities. The Duchess, for example, has an incredibly powerful skill that repeats the last 1.5 seconds of damage an enemy has just taken, and it has a short cooldown to boot. Also, it's not just your damage, it's everyone's damage. So while you're flipping around the battlefield landing attacks, you're also waiting for huge health spikes to try and capitalize on doubling that damage. It's great stuff. Other skills also match the class's predetermined role. The Wilder can do a blast attack to try to land big damage. The Guardian can create a large shield, both negating damage and reviving fallen allies, while the Recluse can curse an enemy, granting all attackers HP and FP bonuses. So while players can double up classes in a run, it's always a good idea to talk about team strengths and weaknesses to diversify your group.
Pueden usar las mismas clases, pero wow.
When starting completely fresh,
Increíble.
players will find themselves in Nightreign's round.
Cada clase en verdad tiene lo suyo, o sea, como que el mago da buff para HP, creo que era defense, el otro hace como un back in time damage adicional, una loquera.
Hold
Se ve
after
nice.
matchmaking with 2 other random players, or using a multiplayer password to play directly
Se
with
puede
your
jugar con
friends.
randoms.
A small cutscene
Nice.
will play, and everyone will soar over Limvale, not Limgrave, before landing and beginning their run.
No full damage, nos podemos tirar de donde
A full
sea.
run of Nightreign lasts around 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how fast you take down the ending bosses. While it's presented as a 3-day cycle, it really boils down to 5 separate phases: Day 1, Night 1, Day 2, Night 2, and the final boss. When Day 1 begins,
What?
the map is fully open, and that
Están viendo esto. ¿Sabe? ¿Qué concepto más exagerado? Un Battle Royale PvE con voces. ¿Sabes? Va cerrando día 1, grindean un poquito, día 2, grindean un poquito, día 3. Lo que quiero ver es el formato de cómo, o sea, cómo sube el level. Cómo vas allá, haces una ronda de 40 minutos con un corillo, matas un chorro de voces randoms y virás para acá. ¿Qué pasa cuando viramos?
that's when you'll
Wow,
begin
esto va a estar bien
exploring and leveling
entretenido.
up.
No es
Everyone's
chiste.
level 1 at the outset with basic starting gear, save for relics that you're rewarded with at the end of every round that grant you persistent buffs between matches, with better relics being offered for better performances. Once landed, my team always beeline for the
Diferentes relics
first
que van al
enemy camp
buff.
we could find for a quick boost of experience to begin leveling up, which was key to defeating stronger foes. From there, you'll decide what your team wants to do by looking at the surrounding area on the map, as it will be littered with points of interest for you to explore. Each point of interest typically comes with predictable rewards. Churches will house a flask charge to increase your overall health potion uses. Castles will feature a mini-boss that drops more powerful gear and
Esto es un maldito Battle Royale PvE.
Rises,
No digan
similar
que no
to
lo
Rise
es.
Rise found in the lands between, will present a simple puzzle to solve before entering to find even more gear, just to name a few of many. Where to go in Limvale feels kind of overwhelming at first, but the threat of the ever-closing circle will eventually train your brain to keep on the move. Speed is the name of the game during the day cycle, and luckily everything seems to be built
Esto
around
es
it.
un Battle
For starters,
Royale,
leveling up
PvE,
is as quick as a
avancen.
button press. As I mentioned, each
Que hay
of
que ir al
the 4
final.
network test classes has a predetermined stat upgrade path. So when you run up to a site of grace to refill your health, FP, and flash charges, you'll also be presented with the leveling menu, which only requires you to press confirm to increase your level. Heck, you may even have enough rooms to level up 3 or 4 times, and with 3 or 4 button presses, you're all done and substantially more powerful. If you have experience in Souls games, the day phases should be a breeze. While searching the map for loot upgrades, I ran into recognizable Elden Ring mobs. My team and I decided to take down
Esos los
two,
recuerdo.
but first we
Esos
had
de
to
Elden
fight
Ring,
3
ese carry-
scattered fire
Mucho-
chariots before
mucho
getting our
morillo
loot
ahí.
rewards.
Hay mucho morillo
Another
ahí.
time, we climbed to the top of a castle to fight a Godskin noble. That should be scary, but with 2 other tarnished by your side, these mobs and bosses go down pretty fast.
Damn, esto es...
Dominaste tu mente.
Yo les voy a dar mi opinión después de
Todo.
esto.
Mientras ibas de camino a casa. Audible.
Perdonen,
Hay
yo no
más
tengo
para
el
imaginar al
YouTube
escuchar.
Premium.
With the Amex Platinum Card,
¡Embuste!
you have
¡Otro
access to
más!
over $1,500 in annual value with benefits.
Moving around is also
By the way,
way faster
después que yo
than in the
termine
original
esto.
Elden Ring. You won't be clawing the controller anymore since sprinting is moved from circle or
Les voy a dar
B
mi opinión
to
de qué yo
simply
creo que
clicking
es
the left
esto.
stick. Sprinting is also about twice as fast as the regular Elden Ring. Fall damage? Nope, none here. Getting down a cliff is easy, and you can even run up walls.
Esto es un Monster Hunter.
Or use spirit springs to get around.
Pero mezclado con un Battle Royale. Más rápido, sesiones de monstruos. Y fuímonos. Lo hicieron un Monster Hunter. Contender para Monster Hunter. Mírenlo, visualícenlo. Miren los corillos. Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter.
But everything on your person will give you buffs. For example, let's say you found a Reduvia dagger with high bleed. If you so choose, this could be the start of a bleed build. Now let's say you take down a boss and you're presented with a few other weapons to choose from, and you spot a spear that increases your status effect buildups. You're not going to use that spear, as you'll want to stick with your dagger, but you'll still benefit from the status effect build.
Wow. Loot por ahí, pam. Nos ponemos, nos equipamos, síguelo.
Build up the spear provides just by having it on your person. Think of it almost like a roguelike. Sometimes the synergy of weapon effects and stat upgrades you'll get will build off each other so well that you'll eventually start melting mobs left and right. Other times you'll want something like a poison build, only to keep getting weapons that increase your FP regeneration. Bummer. Weapons aren't the only rewards either. Oftentimes when looting a boss, you'll get to choose a stat upgrade or a modifier.
Déjame ver, esto es un solo leveling. Se ha vuelto esto aquí también, déjame
Get to
ver.
choose a
Eso es el Incarnation Duration Extend Spell.
stat upgrade or a modifier. Some of these
Esto
are
va a
less
estar
exciting than
interesante.
others,
El
such
corillo
as a
del Den
10%
Ring
increase in
tiene para
physical damage.
entretenerse.
Useful, yes. Exciting, not so much. Other times you'll get something really cool, like a passive power-up that drops a big poise-breaking lightning strike every time you dodge, or an enemy slowing frost nova every time you begin to sprint. You can work these into your
Se ve bien
build for some
exagerado el
powerful
tanque, miren eso.
combinations.
¡Wow!
While the day phases can feel like a walk in the park, it's the night bosses that serve as a real skill check. After the circle has
Porque la noche
closed
siempre
enough to
está
end
intensa.
a day phase, a minor Erd tree will appear, signaling that it's time to take on the night boss. Over the hours I played, my team ranged from completely decimating the Night 1 boss.
El árbol, tienen que ir para acá, vencer al Night Boss.
You'll revive that
Enséñenmelo.
person by simply attacking their downed body, with ever-increasing attacks needed the more often they drop. Regardless, the way the Night 1 ends will usually inform you on how the rest of the run
La
will go.
carota,
I've seen teams
la
come back from
carota.
barely scraping by the Night 1 boss, but if that boss is
¡Ah!
tough, you're likely behind
Acho, qué
in your
lindo se
leveling,
ve.
and you'll have an uphill battle
El Den
ahead
Ring
of
se ve
you
hermoso.
to have a chance against the Night 2 boss.
Este video tiene como 600 ads. Diablo, déjame verlo.
Day 2 begins the same way Day 1 did. You'll once again have a full map to explore to level and find better
Esto es un
equipment and
vueltón. Esto va a ser un vueltón.
Occasionally, you'll be invaded by a random Margit the Fell Omen who will chase you until he dies or he wipes your party. If your team wipes during the day, you'll drop your runes and respawn at the nearest site of grace. You can recover your runes, but the main thing lost here is time, which was wasted fighting an enemy you didn't get a reward from and wasted having to recover your lost runes. If your team wipes during a night boss, it's game over, and you'll need to begin a new run. By the time Night 2 rears its ugly head,
Si mueres, si te hacen wipe up en la noche, te chavaste.
it's time for the final skill check. During our playtest, we were met with two different night bosses. You'll either be faced with the Centipede Demon, who is
Y esa
tough
flecha.
but feels somewhat manageable, or three Sentinel Knights that really suck. In my 6 or 7 full runs of Nightreign, my team was only able to get past Night 2 just once. Finally, Day 3 is incredibly straightforward.
Una
There
vez
isn't one.
pasaron solamente la segunda
Instead,
noche.
you'll be able to spend your last bit of runes either leveling up or buying
Vamos a
consumable
ver.
items from a vendor.
Ese es el
And
último
then
boss.
you and your team will take on the final boss of the run. As I mentioned before, depending on how far you got in
Este
your
juego va a
run,
estar
each
bien
player will be
entretenido.
rewarded with a relic
Full.
that provides a persistent upgrade for your characters. These can range from simple stat
Qué lindo
increases
se ve
to
eso.
modifiers that will set you on a build path right from the
Miren
jump.
eso.
From my point of view, this seems to be the only meaningful progression
No,
Nightreign
miren
has
eso.
to offer. Though I imagine the full game may have
Increíble.
more
Este
in
juego va
store
a ser
for
otra cosa, en verdad. Además, el formato que van a usar.
Nightreign is a lot of fun. Pulling off victories by the skin of your teeth provides the same sense of
Miren cómo se ve
accomplishment
eso.
you felt when taking down some of Elden Ring's toughest
Este corillo-
foes. The moment around ended,
Este corillo
I
tiene la
couldn't wait to
fórmula
jump back in
ganadora.
to see what kind of build I'd get the
La
next time
tienen.
around. And the cheer my team let out when we finally took down that blasted
Day 3
boss reminds me why I love the Souls-like genre so much. In
Damn.
its current form, Nightreign could be seen as a little content light, so I'm incredibly interested to see how it shakes out when it releases sometime in 2025. But for now,
La real, después de ver este videíto y ver lo que es Nightreign, tengo que decir que es una mezcla de Monster Hunter, Battle Royale, PvE. ¿Sabes? ¿Qué es esto que acaba de hacer este corillo? ¿Sabes? Hicieron Elden Ring y nosotros, wow, eso es lo más exagerado que se puede hacer. No hay nada más exagerado que eso. No pueden, esta gente no van a poder superar eso. Y de momento, ¿qué ustedes están hablando? ¿Qué? ¿Que no vamos a poder qué? 2025. Aquí. Lo otro para ustedes. Diantre. ¿Cómo lo hacen? En verdad, ¿cómo lo hacen? Este 2025 va a estar súper entretenido. ¿Será que tendré tiempo para jugar tanto? ¿Será? Voy a tener que chequear esa agenda. Va a haber que agendar Nightreign. Definitivamente.